Hey reseller friends, welcome to the latest edition of Seller's Corner, your go-to source for all things reselling. I'm Erynn, product specialist at Vendoo, and today we're going to talk about how to sell textbooks. But before we do, let me invite you to subscribe to our channel. We publish content all the time. It's all related to Vendoo product tips, community updates, and info on how to scale and grow your resale business. In this video, we'll talk about where to sell textbooks, how to sell textbooks, and extra tips and tricks to make some cash for those stacks. Where to sell textbooks? There are so many places to sell textbooks online. Of course, you can sell books on places where you can sell anything, like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Mercari, and more. There are also some really specific places for books and textbooks that might be worth checking out, such as Chegg, C-H-E-G-G, and the PangoBooks. We actually wrote a blog article all about that, and we'll link that below. As another tip, Amazon offers textbooks as one of the only ungated categories. And that means if you're interested in starting selling on Amazon, it's actually one of the only things that you can sell when you first start. And it's a great way to kind of open the Amazon door for you and to eventually hopefully get what they call ungated and able to sell other categories. Next is for you to consider optimal times to sell textbooks. I'm a big proponent on not waiting to list anything, right? I will list Christmas items in the summer. I will list swimsuits in the winter. I will list textbooks all year long. That said, there are optimal times where you might prioritize items. So textbooks would be at the beginning of semesters or academic sprints, if you will. So the fall is a great time, January is a great time, and even just before summer courses start. So think about what you're selling. This whole stack are my books from law school that I legitimately need to sell. Law school semesters work a little bit differently than other school semesters, and I'm sure that's true of medical school as well. So having a little background in the type of book you're selling will help you decide where to sell it and the optimal time to get those listed. My next tips is to appropriately describe the condition of your book. So things that people really care about is, obviously the cover and back, the sides of the book, but especially the binding. So if you go like this, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that there is definitely some space between the book and the binding. It's a loose binding, and that's something that matters to people a lot. So what I would do is either get yourself some book binding glue and maybe get a little more for the item, or just disclose that there's a loose binding. Another thing that you'll want to do is you'll definitely want to make sure that there isn't excessive notes, highlighting, water damage, wear, and if there are, to note that appropriately. That's not necessarily a deal breaker. I had some books in school that cost $600, and if I could find it for $200, I would take all of the highlighting in the notes. Sometimes the notes are great if the previous owner took good ones. So regardless of the condition, your book is probably still valuable if it had a high retail value. You'll just want to disclose that really carefully. And speaking of condition, let's talk about how to photograph a book. I obviously recommend getting all angles. So we're gonna get the front, the back, the top, the bottom. You might even choose to capture the publication page where it has a lot of the important info. And as an extra tip, if you're selling on a platform that has listing videos, the best listing video you can take is with the help of a friend to do one of these. Right? Flip through the pages, because we certainly can't photograph every page of this book, but a flip through the pages will confirm that they appear in really good shape, that there's no notes or highlighting, or it'll illustrate that there are notes and highlighting and a little damage. But either way, you're allowing your buyer to shop with confidence, and you're protecting yourself because you're illustrating the exact condition of that book at the time of sale. So how do you price a book? With books, it all comes to comps. You definitely want to look at what they're going for, because that's what a buyer is going to do. When you're selling other items like clothing, I don't think that comps are as much of a holy grail, because if someone loves that top, they might just buy it. They're never gonna look to see if other sellers have that blouse cheaper. That's not how it works with books. If someone is required to purchase this textbook, they are going to do a search and they are going to try find the best one, whether it's best because it's cheapest or it's in the best condition. So pricing competitively is the best way to make those sales, and in consideration of the new price. You know, if the book is $200 new, then someone might not want to spend $175 on it used, especially because if they bought it new, they could resell it. But if it's $400 new, $175 is a steal. So be mindful of the cost of the book, what it's currently going for, and what other books are available for sales. Kind of your standard comps that you do with selling everything, but extra important when it comes to books.